CaneSport TV. We're here with Special Teams Coordinator Danny Kalter, member of the staff that not too many guys think about all the time, but certainly a very important piece. And you got to pick a kicker this year.
Sure.
Tell us a little bit about how that's going.
Yeah, for sure. Obviously, you know, we've been really lucky with who we've had here in the past. Andy was great for us, but we're coming in here with, honestly, my room as a whole, the most veteran group that we've had by far. You know, there's 7 guys in my room, kicker, punter, long snapper. 6 of them have played at the D1 level. So we have 2 guys in Carter Davis and Bert Auburn that are both really talented guys that we feel incredibly confident are going to compete, and iron sharpens iron, and that, you know, I'm walking in this camp firmly believing that we have the 2 best kickers in the ACC. So, you know, there's going to be a healthy competition throughout the course of camp, and I'm really fired up.
So that's a lot to manage, really. You know, Carter kind of wins the job in spring.
Sure.
And thinks he's the guy, and then the opportunity to get Bert from Texas comes along, and now, you know, coaches love competition. You know,
Absolutely.
I mean, you've got it. It's game on. And what's that been like with those 2 guys?
Yeah, you know what? We love competition, but so do those guys. And, you know, that's the first thing. When you're looking at guys in those positions, and you look at Andy and Jose before him and their successes because of their competitive spirit. So a guy like Carter knew at the end of spring that there may be someone else coming in, and he embraced it big time. So I could not be more excited for them, their mentality heading into this fall camp, and I'm fired up for it. With, you know, we'll see. They're going to make each other better, and we'll see who comes out after that.
So Bert obviously has done it, you know, at the highest, you know, level of the game, and you know, he had some ups and downs. That's why he's here. Where's he at mentally, physically?
Yeah, he's incredible. I mean, you look at him, he walks in here with the biggest smile, and you look at both guys, you know, have kind of been up and down at their previous spots, and there's a lot of things that go into it that maybe everyone can't see. You know, a guy like Bert Auburn had 4 holders in 4 years over at his last spot. Same thing with Carter at his last spot, had a holder that had never done it before, and issues in the snapper position as well. So, you know, a lot of our success at the kicker position, not a lot of people think of our success at the holder, right? And, you know, we bring back Dylan Joyce, who I think is the best holder in the country, and just the operation as a whole is giving both of those guys incredible confidence. So headspace, they're both in an amazing spot, and I'm fired up for it.
So you've liked what you've seen here in the offseason and when they're working?
Oh, absolutely. And it all starts with the mindset, right? And that's what we look at. We look for football players first, not just kickers. And you look at Andy and Jose before him, and even back to a guy like Mike Badgley, and those guys were football players before they were guys that are just kicking the football, right? And you look for that mentality first. So when we look to bring in a guy like Carter, you know, postseason, we look to bring in a guy like Bert, you know, post-spring, those are the first things that we're looking for, is mindset and guys that we think could handle a healthy competition, that could come in and make each other better. So from a mindset, I couldn't be happier with where those 2 guys are at right now.
So talking about Bert, you know, he had a tough moment.
Sure.
At the end of last year, and probably a big reason why it was in his best interest probably to go find a new place. But when you were recruiting him, what gave you the confidence that you could bring him out of that and get him to shake that off and march forward in a productive way?
Well, the first thing is you get in contact with the kid, and through conversations you can test the kid's confidence and see where their mindset is at. But also the fact that, you know, 2 years prior than that, he made more field goals than anyone in the United States of America. So knowing that a kid can do it and has the ability, but also the fact that you bring him into a new environment with, you know, positive reinforcement and what we're going to do to develop him and great teammates, and that gave us the confidence that he could be a guy that will be ready for competition.
So have you had to develop him mentally here these first 4 or 5 months?
You know, for those guys, they haven't been out there yet with, you know, a field goal rush coming at them, right? So that's where these next 3-4 weeks are going to be huge to think it. Now, do I think he needs that development? I don't think so. I think both those guys are veterans that have that in them, that are both in the right spot with a great operation that I keep saying that they're really comfortable with. And that'll be what we see over the next couple of weeks as we put them in positions, because we're going to test both of those guys, and they're really embracing it. So I'm fired up.
And we're talking about Bert, but Carter impressed with his leg in spring, didn't he?
Absolutely. You know, he's a guy with tremendous raw leg power, and Bert too. But, you know, Carter was a kid that we brought in that really at his last spot was impressive at the kickoff position, and we brought him in here, and then he comes and turns heads in spring. So it really worked out to be perfect for us, where you have a guy like that and then have the ability to bring in another guy. Because listen, we're in the in the position of we want to have the best kicker in the country. We've been that the last couple of years. That's our standard in our room. So, like I said, I feel confident that we have the 2 best kickers in the conference on our team right now. So I'm fired up for it.
Do you try to find a role for both of them?
You can, and that's something that as we go through spring or fall camp, and we put them in competitive situations where that can be one thing, but that's something that in 3-4 weeks we may have a better answer as we put them in those situations.
Like, does one-handle kickoffs and one-handle field goals?
It could, but right now the kickoff spot's open for competition, the kicker spot's open for competition, the punter spot. We're going into camp.
Let the best man win.
At every spot.
You're going to chart everything?
Everything's charted. Dylan Joyce is a 3-year starter, but we're going to put the best guy on the field. So every single position on teams, whether it's in the kicking game or the coverage phases in the return game, we're open competition right now, and that's what fall camp's for.
All right. Well, we got a reason to watch the special teams this spring, so we'll have our eye on it. Thanks so much for your time.
Yeah, appreciate it.